So let's talk about the piece that I think is the most scary from all of these. And we saw it in a lot of them, and that was exfiltration and threat of
Yep.
exposure,
Yeah, and
right?
that's a big thing for a lot of companies. If you think about their trade secrets, private documents that would harm the reputation of the company or expose trade secrets outside, it's those sort of things that companies are paying a arm and a leg to make sure that doesn't go out the door. And a lot of these ransomware gangs are going into corporate networks. They're not actually encrypting anything. They're just seeing what goes where and what data lies where. They're siphoning off that data, and at the same
Right.
time, they're encrypting everything. And it's not that you could just say, "Oh, I'm going to go restore my data and bring back my environment," because they have that piece of data out there that they know they can hold over you.
Yeah.
And that's hard to protect against.
Yeah.
Not impossible, but hard.
Not impossible. That's what I wanted to talk about because even though we're mainly concerned with the backup and restore part of this, my heart goes out to these companies that have suffered that type of attack. And I would say that we've had a couple of guests on the podcast that have addressed some of the ways that you can have a more frontline defense. So one of them that comes to mind is the DDI
Yep.
episode, which I didn't know anything about. And I didn't know prior to that, I had no idea that they use DNS in that way. This
Yep.
idea where they send a specifically worded string of a URL, essentially a host name, that if you know what you're looking for, it's really obvious to see that this is a command and control server
Yep.
request. And so that was one thing that I think that people can use is to look at a modern DDI system, which is DHCP, DNS, and internet. Is
No,
that
I
what the
think it
I
was
is?
IMAP.
Or is
Is
it
the
IMAP? Oh, it's IMAP as in
Yeah.
management and protection, right? So this idea that you watch outgoing requests, and if you see a outgoing request to what appears to be a command control server, they would trap it. They would actually satisfy the request. They wouldn't deny the request. They would just put it into a black hole, but they would note that happened, and then they would just shut off that system from any further requests of
Yep.
any kind, and then notify. And this all happens via machine learning and
Yep.
AI type stuff. This is not a human being doing this. This
Yeah.
is automated stuff.
By the way, the I stands for IPAM, not IMAP. Same letters.
IP address management. Okay, so for the record, my first letter was right. It was protection, IP, because the I in
Yes. Yes.
IP
Yes.
is
I
just
know.
saying I wasn't
I
that
know.
far off. So that's DDI. The other, and didn't we have somebody that was monitoring outgoing bandwidth, or was that just we had somebody that was monitoring file system stuff?
No, there was also the UDI, right? Who had the firewall software.
Yeah, I think we need to reach out to other companies. And by the way, if any of the listeners are aware of the type of what I'm looking for here is a network monitoring system that monitors all outgoing traffic and uses machine learning or AI or both to identify something is different. There is this one IP address in Russia that seems to be that seems to be receiving a lot of data that didn't used to get any data, and suddenly they're getting a lot. That's a perfect application for machine learning.
Yep.
I don't know what you're looking for. Just look for something that's different. Look for patterns. Patterns have changed. And when it looks, if, and then you can set it. If it looks like it's an exfiltration, shut it down. Just shut it down immediately and then yell at me. And then if it's a valid,
Then we'll
you
just
know,
re-enable it and then we'll learn.
if everybody used DDI and something like that, I think this would kill so much of
Yeah.
this.